Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm so excited for the ability to be able to help you ladies and you guys with this situation because I was on a role play call or as a call review with one of my girls the other day, and they had a situation where it was like a big school and there was like a board of like 4 people, and it's like, okay, well, like how do you navigate like the dynamics if it's more than one person? How do you make sure that you raise your status in people's minds when you're talking to people? So I think it's really, really important. So just to make sure that this training is aligned to you, can you guys please drop in the chat what you sell, what industry you're in, so I just have a little bit more clarity on what we are doing here. Where is my mat? I want to walk. Sit on my mat. Oh my goodness. Oh. I have this mat that helps my feet whenever I stand up and train. I'm not standing on it. So we have life insurance in the house. We have solar in the house, logistics in the house. Let's go. What else? What else are we working with here? All right, residential cleaning. Awesome. Life insurance. Okay, all over the place. Real estate. All right, let's roll. Publicity on Instagram, infrared saunas. Okay, hell yeah. Technology to businesses, M&A for e-com and SaaS. Okay, great. Okay, so what happens if you get on a call and all of a sudden another person hops on the call that you weren't expecting? Has anyone ever had that happen before? Get on a call, somebody else hops on, or maybe you walk into like a boardroom and there's a bunch of people in there. Like, how do you kind of navigate and finesse those situations without it being awkward and making sure that you have clarity? Thanks, Dave. I appreciate you. How do you walk through that? And I want to show you a couple of different scenarios. And if anything has come up for you guys, I want you to drop it in the chat below of anything that you've been able to experience in these calls. For me, personally, what I've experienced is lots of sweating. Lots of sweating, lots of awkwardness. I am definitely a sweater, and sometimes I start talking awkward. Definitely, for sure. And I want to make sure that you guys don't have those situations as well. So let's kind of roll into this. How do we navigate a boardroom or like multiple people in a call? So here's just some pro tips to help and support you. If there's multiple people, you want to make sure that you are looking at body language of everyone. If you're on a Zoom conversation, we are looking at everybody all the time. If we are in person, we are looking at everyone all the time. Let's say you're in the middle of a conversation and Linda over here, she looks at you and she like closes her arms in the middle of your conversation. Maybe Linda has a concern that she's not communicating. So we want to make sure that we address Linda before we leave this conversation so that we don't have any more issues, right? We have to address Linda. Let's say, what else? We need to know if there's other people involved in making this decision. Typically, if you're talking in some type of B2B role, there can be 7 to 8 decision makers, and there could be people that are influencing this decision that have nothing to do with decision makers. Like, let's say they have like certain attorneys that make sure they shut down things if they see them that are not in alignment for what they're wanting. Well, you have to make sure that we cover the basis for those people too, make sure that we don't have any issues, right? And we want to make sure that we can really help this person realize the problem that they have and the consequences if they don't do anything about these problems. Yes. So let's just talk about a couple of different things here. Number one, addressing people. Who is all there, right? And making sure that you understand their roles and responsibilities. Okay. If I am making if I really like Sarah because she's nicer to me and I'm like giving her all my attention this whole entire time and she literally has nothing to do with making this decision, I'm like diverting my attention to somewhere where it makes me feel comfortable versus where it needs to be with whoever is actually involved here. Yes? All right, hold on. And then, hold on really fast. Okay. All right. Let's stop threatening people inside the chat, guys. Y'all are going to be fine. Everything's okay. Let's all move forward. We'll be fine. Secondly, we want to make sure that we are observing behavior. Thirdly, we want to take control. I'll show you how to do that. That's really, really, really important. And number 4, most important, is raising your status. Okay, so let's look at these. Raise your status and taking control of the conversation. How do we do that? All right, let's divide it in half. How do we take control? And how do we raise our status? Okay. If I want to raise my status in someone's mind, especially as a woman in sales, you're already at a disadvantage when you walk into a boardroom. You're already at a disadvantage when you have a lot of people, because people naturally think that you do not know as much as you know. Really ridiculous, right? Yeah, sorry, this camera, I don't know how to make it the other way. If you want the regular one, it's on my Women in Sales Facebook group. Hey, Mike, what's up, boo? Hey, JJ. Raise your status. JJ, you don't have to do anything to raise your status. You have to just spray your Toy Boy cologne on and you're good. Just playing with you, bro. So how do I raise my status? So I want to make sure that I am busier than they are busy. So let's say we start and they try to showboat me and they're like, oh, just tell me what you have here. Right? That's one way that they can try to control me. What if another thing that they do? What if they say, oh, hey, we only have an hour here. Get started. Let's go. I'm like, oh God, right? Have you ever had this experience where you get on a call and they try to overpower you? So then we had this experience before. I definitely have, and it sucks. It's like, okay, well, what do you have? Show me. How much does it cost? Let's go. Right? Or another thing they can do is okay, we only have about an hour here, so you're gonna have to go. Let's hurry. Let's get it going. Right? Or they could say, look, we're already working with people, so give me your best offer. Tell me what you got. And you're just like, oh God, what the heck is going on right now? Oh, that sucks. So there's several different things that we can do. We are always busier, right, than them. So let's say that they start with timing. Okay. You have an hour, so you better hurry up. We only have an hour here. The first thing we want to do is act like we're busier than them, right? So, oh, you guys have a lot of time in your hands. I have about 45 minutes here until my next call. Let's get started, right? Take the power back, right? Let's say they're show me what you got here, right? Let's get started. Maybe you can use humor. John, I thought we were going to be friends today. What happened? What happened, John? Right? Just play around with them, right? Get your power back. Yeah. What can you go over the pricing? I just need to know the price so we can make a decision to move forward. Yeah, John, that's really not a problem. It's happy to go. Well, let me repeat that again. It's been a long day. I've been going since 5. Okay. Yeah. Just go over the pricing. We need to make a decision and we can move forward. John. Yeah, I can absolutely go over all the pricing with you for sure. It really just depends on, and then you go over the different things that you would actually need in order to get the sale. So let's say that you guys are selling some type of SaaS, right? Some type of technology for them to make sure that they don't have any intruders anymore. Or let's say you were selling a high level SEO for their website right now. And that's what you were selling. They're like, can you just give me your prices? We've already met with a couple people. I just want to get it over with. Yeah, John, I can absolutely go over pricing for sure. Really just depends on your time frame on how quickly you want to get this going and what page of Google you want to be on, how high you actually want to be ranked and how easy it is for people to find you, whether that's keywords or this or that or this. And once I understand all that component, all those components together, we can go over pricing for sure. Would that help you? And they're like, oh, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, can you walk me through what you currently have in place for SEO right now so I just have a better understanding? And then we go, I take the control back. Now, the key phrases in there are, would that help you? Would that help you? Right? I'm not trying to make them feel wrong. Okay? Like, let's say I want them to tell me a price. I'm not like, well, I can't tell you that until I go this, or I'll go over that at the end. No, because if I say, yeah, I'll go over that at the end, the whole entire conversation, what are they thinking? What's the price? What's the price? Why doesn't she tell me the price? Why isn't she being honest with the price? What's going on with the price? They're not paying attention to anything I would say. It's just, would that help you? Right? Let's say something else. Well, what do you have even going on? Look, I don't even know why this is on the schedule today with you. Like, I'll be honest. I don't know why this is here, but you're here now. So like, let's just get this going. That's a hard one. Like, oh my God, how am I gonna get my power back here? Yeah, John. Okay. That's interesting. Can I ask you something? I don't want to say ever, like, let me ask you something. I think that is a thing that a lot of salespeople do. I was taught to do that as well. You're like, hey, let me ask you something. And then you go into a whole entire thing. Can I ask you something? Pause. When I ask, can I ask you something? And I pause, first of all, it gives me the ability to have a second to think. That's really, really helpful. I like thinking. You don't have to respond immediately, right? And then number two, it gives me permission to go into what my next statement is. And number three, it gets them to agree to me. They're like, okay, yeah, what? So, yeah, okay, that's interesting, John. Can I ask you something? What is even prompting you guys, besides, your assistant setting this up, what would even prompt you guys to even look at an additional cybersecurity component to what you already have, besides just doing nothing and staying with who you already have? Like, what's even prompting you to look at something new? What would even prompt you to even want to consider something new? Just so I can understand. All right. And really flip it back on him. Get him to think about it end result. People have to think about it end result. Let's say you have another situation, right? Like, let's say you sell like home improvement and you're having a meeting with somebody and like their significant other, and the husband's there and he's all like, look, I don't even know why we're having this meeting. Like, my wife scheduled this. Like, I know I don't even want to look at a new roof, but she wants it. Apparently, you convinced her to be here. So please tell me what this is all about. Oh, John. Yeah. And I apologize. I didn't mean to offend you. That was definitely not my intention. Well, from everything that, she's discussed with you so far, may I ask you something? I guess what would even prompt you to even want to consider looking at a new roof in the first place, just so I have a better understanding? Or I would go straight into a pain point. Okay, yeah, and I didn't mean to offend you. I guess I'm just trying to understand. And maybe I can walk with you through what she was telling me, and then I can get your perspective to see if this would even be helpful. Maybe you're better off with staying with the roof that you guys already have, right? And like flipping it back on them to where it feels super like I don't need it, super like I'm not trying to take anything from you guys, if that makes sense, right? So if somebody's like, why are you here? Kind of flip it back and like push it back on them. Be like, well, maybe you should stay with who you already have. Like, definitely didn't mean to offend you here, right? So let's move into another aspect. Let's say that I'm talking to, guys, okay? So my ladies that have to raise your status in men's minds, why would you have to do that? Why would you have to do that? Because naturally people, men and women, believe that men are more competent than women when they are at any state. Okay, what do I mean by that? There was a Harvard study that was done that was really interesting. I was taking Harvard business classes on leadership. And one thing that really blew me away was there was a study done on who was a better leader. And they compared men and women in two different states. They compared men and women both in an enthusiastic, like really happy state. Or here, let's see. Here we go. Yes. Okay. The guy out of the live, he keeps like trolling everybody, dear Lord. Okay. So, whenever you are Words are beautiful. Okay, the Harvard study. So they compared leadership for men and women that are in the same state, both in an enthusiastic state. So if you have a man and a woman leader, right, that are both like enthusiastic, passionate, charismatic, and both that were stone cold. And they compared the portray of leadership attributes of those people. Like, who would you respect? Who do you believe is more competent? Who do you believe that you can trust more? It was really interesting because the level of trust between a man that was enthusiastic and charismatic versus him being cold didn't change. But when they did the same study around women, what they noticed was that people believed the woman to be less competent whenever she was enthusiastic or charismatic. However, when she was more cold, they believed that she knew more and that they can trust her more. Now, couldn't that possibly be trouble for you, ladies, if you were not a cold bitch all the time? Pardon my French. Yes, it possibly could. So how do you do business and how do you get people to take you seriously when you also want to feel like you're being yourself? How do you do that? You have to raise your status in people's mind and you have to take control of the conversation. And these board meetings and conversations that you're having one-on-one with guys, you have to let men earn your smile. And I know that sounds weird and you're like, oh my God, what are you talking about? But it's so, so true. Men have to earn your smile in business. And how do they do that? By you starting off conversations really, really clean, clear, and precise. Okay. So when you first start off a conversation, the biggest thing for you to do is get their intent. Let's say we're going back into this boardroom example. We're back in a boardroom. Okay. So the very first conversation that I would have with these people is, if it was virtual, I would start it off by saying, like, can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay. If it was in person, I obviously wouldn't say, can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay. Because you're going to look like a freaking lunatic. Right. So the very first part is just to get everyone on board. If you're waiting for another person to join the meeting, you can absolutely do small talk. If everyone is there, skip the small talk. Yeah. So the very first thing that you would say is, you would get who is all there, right? And like, okay, so, Sally, like, how are you involved in this project? How are you involved? You kind of understand how everyone's involved. And then you start it off. And just so I have a better understanding here, right? We're taking control. I'm in charge. I've started off. From your perspective, what is really prompting you guys to do this so that you can, and then whatever the end result? So what is prompting or attracting I just want to know what their intent is. Okay. And again, if you're on this live, you can't see my board because that is on the Women in Sales Facebook group. So just so I have a better understanding, what is prompting you all to consider whatever your product is? What is prompting you to consider whatever this is so that you can, whatever the end result is? What is prompting you to possibly look at setting up an additional internet service here so that you can make sure that your team always has capability to be able to have, a higher level Zoom communications with people globally, like, for example? What is prompting you to possibly look at an outside accounting firm for the company so that you are paying taxes every year? What is prompting you to look at possibly, renovating your office kitchen so that you can have a larger workspace and build more culture in your company with your staff, right? It's all the same. It's just different industries. What is prompting you or what is attracting you to be able to do X? What is X? It's what you sell, right? Prompting you to do X so that you can, whatever the end result is. Now, why would I start off a conversation like that? Because you're not selling the thing, you're selling the results of what that thing does. I'm not selling renovation, I'm selling more culture for their team in order to be able to have like, staff meals and stuff like that. I'm not selling internet, I'm selling accessibility and making sure that they have no droppage, no outages when it comes to having global conversations with people around the world. I'm not selling cybersecurity, I'm making sure that they don't get hacked. I'm not selling the thing, I'm selling what the thing does. And when I'm asking a boardroom like that, what's going on, I'm getting everyone's opinion. And what you're going to notice, human behavior, is like whoever's in charge is going to be answering you. They're going to be answering. Right? If you know that there's another person that's heavily involved in the decision of this, you can ask them as well. Okay, Sally and Bob, besides what Sally just mentioned, is there anything else that's coming up for you so I have a better understanding? Beautiful word, besides. Besides means I've already listened to what the other person said. Besides what they mentioned, is there anything else? Oh, okay, Sally, that helps me. And Bob, besides what Sally just mentioned, is there anything else that is coming up for you so I have a better understanding as well? Okay. Right? So I'm trying to get. Now, after I get their intent, I walk them through how this is going to go. Right? So let's say I finish, I get their intent. Okay, so just so you guys have clarity, this conversation is going to be pretty basic. It's really more for me to have an understanding of what you guys have in place right now, as far as, and you mention whatever they need to have in place for your industry. As like, let's say we're selling SEO services to this company, right? So, really the first part of this conversation is pretty basic, just so you all understand. It's really more for me to have an understanding of like what you guys have in place as far as SEO, how people can find you, what type of website, what type of traffic that you have compared to what you're wanting as far as like visibility, eyes on you, searchability. Just so I can have a better understanding of what this gap even looks like, so I could see if we can help. And then towards the end of this conversation, if you feel like it might be what you all are looking for, we can talk about possible next steps at that point. Would that help you? They say yes. Again, I'm looking at body language. Okay. And then I'm going through the first part about this. How about water ionizers to restaurants to replace cleaning products and better drinking water? Okay, so let's say that I am talking to multiple people. I've already booked this conversation and we are having this conversation with multiple people. I would start off by asking, and just so I have a better understanding, like what is even prompting you to look at an alternative water source so that you can make sure that you're having cleaner drinking water for your clients and your customers. Like what's even prompting you to do that? Okay. And besides what she mentioned, Bob, is there anything else that I can understand? Okay. Well, just so you guys have a better understanding of how this conversation is going to work, it's really more for me to have a little bit of like insight on what you currently have in place as far as what drinking water you have and how you clean your tables and like what the pH level looks like on that right now and like what it tastes like compared to what you're wanting. And that's not just so that your clients like can have better tasting water, but it's also to make sure that everything is up to like cleaning standards and you're making sure that you have X and Y and Z, like more about your industry, just so I can understand what this gap even looks like. And once I have a better understanding of that, we can talk about, and this feels like it's an alignment for what you're looking for, like we can talk about possible next steps at that point. Would that help you? Oh, okay. Well, can you walk me through what you have in place right now as far as like how to purify your water? Oh, how long have you been doing it like that for? Okay. And do you use the same water to like also clean your tables and what's going on right there? Oh, well, do you filter it at all? Does somebody clean it? When's the last time somebody's cleaned that for you? Oh my God, how come it's been that long? Right? So you just try to find a pain point that they didn't realize that they already had, if that makes sense. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions on here? Right? You want to make sure that you guys are allowing yourselves to just take control of the conversation. Hey man, what's up, bro? We want to make sure that we're taking control of the conversation. How do you say, I am here for business? I'm a knowledgeable expert. I know what I'm doing. If I walk into these conversations and I'm like, oh my gosh, hi, so nice to meet you. I'm so happy that we're here today. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this all week long. Let's get started. Oh my gosh, like, how have you been? You're so nice. You're so great. Oh my gosh, like, this is awesome. Like it's just a hot mess. So let's do another one. Somebody says, how do I approach restaurants about their POS? Okay, so POS system, right? Maybe I walked in cold, maybe I called them. We already got past the point where we actually have a meeting and we're talking to them, right? So hey, I guess what is even prompting you to look at a possible other POS system so that you can have an easier and a faster experience for your servers? Okay. And just so I have a better understanding and you kind of know how this conversation is going to go, like the first part of this is really basic. It's really more for me to have a better understanding of like what POS system you have in place right now and the results that your team is getting from that, like how fast it's going and if there's any issues to compare to what you're wanting. And that's not just so that you can have an easier experience, but it's also to make sure that it's faster so that you can have your team out on the floor versus having to type in a bunch of stuff. And like once I understand like what that gap even looks like, I could see if we can help. And if it feels like this might be what you're looking for, we can talk about possible next steps at that point. Like, would that help you? And what do you have in place for a POS system right now? And how long have you had that for? Okay. And typically when you have, your servers and your bartenders like going through that, do you feel like it takes them a long time to type in stuff or is it really pretty easy to find stuff? Oh, and has anybody said anything? And then you go, well, do you like the system that you have in place right now? Oh, I do. Oh, I mean, it sounds like it's 100% perfect for you guys. Do you feel like it's 100% great? Oh, it's not? Well, what do you feel like you could change about the system, like if you could? Oh, and you just find a pain point in their mind. Sup, bro? Appreciate you, man. So, it's the same thing, guys. It's just different industries. Once you understand like how to sell, like it's so easy. It's so easy. So, anyways, we had some crazy, crazy moment happen this past week. So, if anybody here knows, I am looking for a full-time, high ticket sales rep, high ticket closer. Thanks, appreciate it, man. I want a woman to work with me because you work with women all the time. You have to be able to have already sold like 10K a month, 10K a month and high ticket sales. Like you need to know what you're doing because I just need support and I don't have time to train somebody right now. I have so many calls, like it's like ridiculous. So we just need a little bit of help right now. So I'm looking for somebody that wants to work with me for the next like 5-10 years. That really wants to work with women, build out something really incredible. If that is you, if you feel like that's aligned, please send me a 1-minute video on why you are the person that I should work with. We're going to be interviewing this next week. Besides that, if you are wanting to get additional help in sales and you haven't had a role play with me yet, just DM me role play. We'll see if you can get on like a 20-minute role play and see if we can support you guys in what you're doing and see how we can help. And then in regards to that, I appreciate all of you guys. I hope that you all have an incredible day. Thank you so much. And keep working. This doesn't happen overnight. Like this happens over time. You just have to keep going for it, keep training, keep learning, keep growing, keep developing yourself. But I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. And I hope y'all have a great day. Bye, guys. Bye, ladies. Bye. Bye.